Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Production channel here at YouTube, and welcome to another Album of the Week video. This is episode number 207. Today's episode I will be putting a spotlight on Steelhammer, the 14th studio album from U.D.O, powered by the iconic German mastermind himself, U.D.O Dirkschneider. Originally released on May 24th, 2013 via AFM Records. And last week, it reached its 10th anniversary. And since U.D.O had announced the release of their 18th studio album, Touchdown, which comes out on August 25th, it seems like a great moment to celebrate. So, with all that said, let's begin. Steelhammer was recorded in 2012 at Rock Studios in Pulheim, Germany. Hope I pronounced all that correctly. So, 15 tracks were recorded, but 14 were picked, at least for the regular copies, with the leftover track being used on limited editions. So, featuring 14 tracks, clocking in at the length of 1 hour, 1 minute, and 32 seconds. These 14 tracks are, well, beginning with the title track, A Cry of a Nation, Metal Machine, Basta Ya, Heavy Rain, Devil's Bite, Death Ride, King of Mean, Timekeeper, Never Cross My Way, Take My Medicine, Stay True, When Love Becomes a Lie, and then finally ending with Book of Faith. So there you go. There's your 14 tracks. By the 2000s, U.D.O had been in full force after nearly spending 6 years with Accept in the 90s, from 92 all the way up to 97. Just U.D.O pretty much put Accept behind him, and as the 2010s rolled in, U.D.O was seen to be an unstoppable force. That's until Accept was resurrected, with XTT Quick singer Mark Tonillo being behind the mic, and to this day is still with at least Wolf Hoffman in Accept. Well, I wouldn't say that Accept had stole U.D.O's thunder, but with 2011's Rev Raptor, it seemed like U.D.O might have fumbled a bit. Not that it was terrible, but it felt pretty lackluster. Just the sterilized digital sound and recording didn't help either. Sadly, that ended up being the final album for both Igor Ganola, hope I pronounced that correctly, who had been with them since Holy, and Stefan Kaufman as a full-time member. Stefan is still actively works with U.D.O, but merely as a studio guy and performs with U.D.O on his other projects. In their replacement was Audrey Smirnov, who to this day is still with U.D.O. So on this album, they are basically presented as a 4-piece instead of having 5 members. So thankfully, they came screaming back in 2013 with Steelhammer. So while being down to one guitar player, Steelhammer still retains a fullness. Of course, the biggest difference here, and rightfully, is the recording and production. No longer does it sound sterilized, and it just sounds so much warmer. But even if that is seen as a plus, what is even more of a plus is that the songwriting is miles better than anything on the previous albums, and that especially goes for Rev Raptor. Since there are a lot of songs here, I won't be going through each of them. Instead, I'll just point out the ones that stand out to me. The great thing is that it starts off consistently strong. The 4 strings of tracks with the title track up to Basta Ya, which is sung in Spanish and features Victor Garcia as guest vocalists. And an English version titled Dust and Rust is included on the Japanese pressings, making these just prime U.D.O style heavy metal that U.D.O had created with Accept and personified it since, well, 1987. Then there is Heavy Rain, which got placed in the middle here. It's a very nicely well-written and performed ballad, and U.D.O has done ballads before, but for the past 20 years it seemed like he got a little too comfortable with the straightforward metal. So it felt like a nice change of pace for U.D.O to place in a short little ballad. It's just well performed. But soon after that, it's all full throttle. Some standout cuts for me here are Death Ride, which harkens back to the energy of Time Bomb, King of Mean, Never Crossed My Way, which feels like it would have fit nicely on Holy or Thunderball, Take My Medicine, a hooky hard rocker, and then there's Stay True, which is just classic U.D.O. Then there is the unique album ender that is Book of Faith. To summon the song up, it's prime U.D.O Dirkschneider's unapologetically sardonic personality. U.D.O gives out one of his most venomous performances to date here, which just elevates this song even more. The nature and everything, ugh. And it's equally heavy. And that pretty much here rounds out the album for me. Of course, after this, they would get Kasperi Heikkinen? Hope I'm probably butchering his last name, so bear with me. Again, I apologize. Who would only stick around for Decadent before leaving. Then, of course, by 2018, D. Dammers would join the band. Francesco Jovino, hope I'm pronouncing this all correctly, would leave after Decadent. He would then be replaced by U.D.O's son Sven Dirkschneider. Then, of course, Fiddy Weinhold, who had been with U.D.O since 1997, would leave after Steel Factory. Dylan Hudrap would replace him, but would soon suddenly leave after 2021's Game Over. Since 2023, Peter Baltes, hope again, I've never really been very great at or good at figuring out how to pronounce his last name, even after these years. You know, I still never quite sure how to just perfectly pronounce his last name. So I apologize if for years I've been on this channel been pronouncing his last name incorrectly. Again, who supposedly retired back in 2018, is now once again teaming back up with his former accept buddy, U.D.O, to be U.D.O's new bass player, and Touchdown will be Peter's first offering with U.D.O since basically Accept's 2017 album, The Rise of Chaos, and of course, Dirkschneider and the Old Gang. 2023 looks to be one hell of a thrill ride for any diehard Accept/U.D.O fan. I know I am. So, there you go. 10 years for Steelhammer. Of course, I'm stoked for what is to come in August, so I think the time is right for anybody to get themselves pumped up for August 25th is just by spinning some Steelhammer, or any U.D.O for that matter. So for those who have spent years blasting this classic, like I was, you can leave your thoughts in the comments section below, even if they are positive or negative. But if you've never listened to Steelhammer, if you want to know what is a good place to start with when thinking about diving into U.D.O's later periods, this is a good one to start with. Go and check this out. So with that, this is Heavy Thrash saying, I am out, and I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.